What's up guys and welcome back to Tech Plant. Today we're going to be reviewing a really cool shelf and this one's mobile. Well, let's check it out. Alright, so I was sent this shelf by Barrina. This is the same company that sent me that other light, so it's pretty cool to finally be getting some free stuff from them just because I've been using their products forever and recommending it just like out of just my sheer, I guess, enjoyment of their products. And so it's pretty cool that they're sending me some stuff. And I've actually really been dying to get a hold of one of these like shelves on wheels, and you'll see why in the future. But yeah, this is a pretty cool plant rack kit that comes with the lights, the hardware for mounting, pretty much everything you need. And again, it is on wheels. Everything is packed in here pretty well. Again, like I said, you get a lot of stuff in this kit. You get your like wire shelf, you get some sweet wheels, so it's mobile, which I love that part about it. You get lights and you get a bunch of different mounting hardware. So normally when you buy like Barrina light kits, you get like one set of hardware that comes with it, but this one comes with like I think almost four different options. So really flexible with how you set things up, and it even comes with a timer, which is pretty nice because you can just get this pretty much all set up one and done with one go. Another thing I actually really loved, which seems simple and obviously isn't super necessary, you can make one yourself, but it's a pain, is they come with little plastic sheets that can sit on the shelves. So that way you don't have to worry too much about water getting on the lights. So I've really made like plastic sheeting for most of my shelves because I'm always afraid of too much water getting on the electrical components and causing issues. So it's a small like thing that they added, but it's really nice. So to build this thing, it's pretty self-explanatory, especially if you look in the actual manual. It lays out everything you need to do pretty easily. So the first thing you can do is screw the wheels into the bottom. It does come with a nice little wrench in the wheel bag, so you can tighten them down real good. And then you will see there is a top and bottom half of the poles, and these are going to be your main four support poles. It's probably easier to get the first shelf on the poles before you extend them, just because otherwise you're pushing a pole much further through. I did put mine all the way at the lowest point that I could put them. These little plastic things, they just sort of snap on. There's little grooves in the pole. It's pretty obvious. Again, you'll see it right away, and it's just easy to set up. So you get them on there, put the poles in, tighten her down. You can use a rubber mallet if you want. And then from there, I decided to put the two inner shelves all the way down at the bottom because I'm going to kind of figure out what they are going to be like later. And then I secured the very top one first. Make sure though you put the two inner shelves all the way in first before you put that top one on, otherwise you're going to have to pull it off. But the reason I did this is then I can kind of judge my distance a little better visually. I'm going to do like a non-standard setup and we will sort of explain why. So my reasoning for this is I've got quite a lot of shelf growing experience. In fact, that is how I grow almost every single plant except for now the floor plants, just because everything's gotten so big. And I've found that you can really maximize a shelf's usage by making non-uniform shelf sizing. So in my case, I'm going to make the lowest shelf the tallest shelf. That way I can put a lot of bigger plants that are going to get tall down there. And if they were to fall off or something, it won't be a problem because they're already at ground level. And then from there, I'm going to make two smaller shelf sections. One will be smaller than the third one, actually, and that's where I'll put propagation bins. You can even see it in some of the background shelves. The smaller spaces are dedicated for the bins, and the larger spaces for the plants. So this will give me two dedicated plant shelves and then one propagation bin shelf. Now, as far as the lighting hardware, there is a lot of options. There's hanging chains if you were to hang some lights. There's zip ties. There's two different style clips. You can mix and match these in many different ways, and depending on how you're going to use these, you can get creative. However, I love to maximize my vertical space. That is always the big issue with growing on shelves, is you hit your vertical space limit very quickly. So I don't even want to waste an inch on like hanging a chain or even the other brackets that have like a little top hook on them. Like that is just I'm not willing to even give up an inch. So I found I could zip tie these other brackets that came in a little bag right to the wire frame, and the way I managed to do it so it doesn't protrude up above too much worked pretty well. I would recommend this. There's other ways you could probably zip tie it on, but that little nub could stick up a little high, and that is going to like cause issues with how the plastic above these lights is going to rest on everything. So I think this is probably the best, most vertical maxing and not putting huge lumps way to do it. So I'd recommend this, but again, you guys are going to have unique situations that you're trying to satisfy. So the cool thing with this kit is it really does come with a bunch of different methods, and you can mix and match them and come up with all kinds of things to meet your needs. So I really actually appreciated that because for me, hanging hardware is kind of a pain because you just kind of get what they give you, and I'm usually trying to DIY it. Where in this situation, I had a lot of options, and again, that is really important to me, especially because not one size fits all with how people grow plants. One final thing I do want to talk about as far as the actual lights go. So if you've noticed on the top two shelves, I put the lights a little more inside the actual shelf widths, if that makes sense. They're much closer together and more centered, and that's so I can get like a maximum amount of light on the actual plants. If you go too far to the edges, you just sort of waste lighting just going off the shelves onto the floor, if that makes any sense. So the top two, since I know the plants are going to be pretty close, I really wanted to centralize those lights a bit and just get a little bit more hot light in the center, so I'm not wasting as much falling off on the outside. However, I did change things up a little bit on the bottom shelf because there's a lot more vertical difference, and I'm going to have larger plants where their leaves might spill outside of the shelves. I put the lights a little wider so they're a little closer to the edge, and that'll give me a few more inches outside of the actual shelves because, again, if you're putting larger plants down there, the leaves are probably hanging out a little bit, so you're going to want to think of that so you can utilize your lights in the most best way. Again, on the top utmost shelves where I'm going to be putting propagation bins, I want all the light to just fall on the shelf and nothing should really be wasted on the outside. Obviously, we can never get that exact, but that's what I was going for. Once you have everything mounted, the wiring is pretty simple. There's a diagram, but you're basically chaining these all together. You do only get one singular plug to chain them all together, so you cannot do optional shelving switches, if that makes any sense. You'd have to buy a different Barrina kit and maybe mix and match your cords. Like I have extra cords on hand just because I've bought in so many, and usually the like plain light sets come with a few different plugs, but in this set you only get one plug. Might have been nice to get two maybe so you can make some more decisions on how flexible you want things to be, but one is fine because it is just one unit and you can daisy chain them all together. And then again, it has a lot of extra zip ties, and there's also a little Velcro spool you can use. I use zip ties just because they're a little firmer. But yeah, you're going to want to make your wires look really nice because it will bite you in the long term if you leave it messy. One more pretty important tip I'd say, and you see this a lot in aquarium hobby, but any like electronic lights or components, even pumps, usually you leave like a loop, like a gravity loop in the cord, so that way water can't like get on the cord and then run to the actual component. So in this situation, I made sure to make a slight loop that drops down underneath the plugs on each light. That way when I'm spraying water, if any water does get on the cords and starts to run, it's not going to like run downward into the actual socket. It's just going to drip off in that loop. So that is a very key thing. You could also put some like tin foil there or some additional plastic to protect that, because if you're watering with the sprayer, it can get a little wild and you really don't want to introduce water to these because they are not waterproof. Once you've finished up all the wiring and everything and it's all secure, you're pretty much all set. If you want, you can use that included timer to set this up. I use timers for everything. It makes things really convenient. However, I'm probably going to just plug this into one of my power strips that are already on timers, so I'm not going to use it. Or I'll probably actually use it because the other one melted and almost started a fire. So we'll just use this new one and it should be pretty good. But I really do like this shelf a lot. I think it's pretty cool. I know there's a lot of them out there on the market, so maybe you can shop around or whatever. Again, this one was sent to me for free, so I don't want to like be biased or anything. But I've been wanting a little wheeled shelf, especially in my basement. It's really nice, and it's just cool to be able to wheel it around. I'm really enjoying it. It fits into this newly open space I made. If you watched my previous video of the big plant tour, I moved my shelves apart a little more, and it freed up this really central space, and this shelf just fits in there so perfect. This is absolutely perfect for my setup, and again, that is something you're going to have to evaluate yourself, whether or not this would make sense for you guys. But for me, it's really awesome. It's perfect. It's pretty small, so do notice that. I have some other shelves in the background that are much bigger, like utility shelves. So get a little bit of an idea of how big this is by reading the dimensions on the listing and everything, because I don't want to encourage you to get something that might be actually too small for you. So this is perfect for me for a small utility shelf. But again, really do your research on what sizes you might need, and if wheels make sense. If you're on carpet, that might not make sense. But I hope that this kind of helped clear some things up and gives you an idea of what this thing looks like. Well, guys, that pretty much sums up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and thought this was a pretty cool build. I was surprised with the quality of everything. It's pretty cool. I do like that it's pretty short because it allows me to fit it in my collection really well, and it was perfect for the size of the gap that I had between my two shelves over to my right. So I'm really excited about this because not only is it mobile, I can use it to take plants out to my filming station, do other cool stuff. I just like that I have this little mobile station that I can have plants on. I'll probably put some other supplies on here like a sprayer, or maybe some fertilizer, just other little things. And I also think I'm going to use this for live streaming because it's hard for me to get my entire computer set up like in the plant room, but at least this way I can bring that out to the live stream area and I can have my plants there, and it'd just be, I think, pretty cool and beneficial. So I'm pretty excited to get this because it might give me a really nice live stream setup. So look forward to that, and there'll probably be a little bit more information on that. But anyways, as always, guys, may your plants grow strong and healthy. I'll see you next time.